Welcome everyone to All Sports Culture's official 2020 NBA Awards show. Today, myself and Kurt are going to be providing you with ASC's results for the winners of each NBA award. There was a total of 19 members polled for this ballot, and we didn't do voting based on write-ins. We decided it was best to set 3 candidates for each award. Basically, every single one of these nominees were in the top 3 of betting odds for their respective awards, so we weren't going out on a limb with any of these nominations. And we decided to do our polling now instead of after the 8 games before the playoffs. Well, because the NBA is also doing their voting as I speak right now, before the season officially restarts. All votes are based upon what we saw from October all the way until the season shut down in March. Every ASC member submitted their ballots to us, and I tallied up all of the scores, and now we have our final results. Who will bring home each award? Let us know your personal NBA awards for 2020 in the comments below. Now I'm going to have my man Kurt kick us off with All Sports Culture's presentation of our 2020 NBA awards.
So for Rookie of the Year, we have Ja Morant,
Okay.
Zion Williamson, and we have Kendrick Nunn. And the
right.
results were Ja had 17 votes in first place. Second place was Zion with 1, and third place was Kendrick Nunn with no votes. But all right, so here's what I want to say about a little bit about each candidate. So Ja Morant, obviously, I think that me and you can both agree that was the number one or the obvious choice for Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
Not too much I want to say, but the Grizzlies, no one expected them to even be in Orlando by now or to be at the 8th seed. But what they did in the season, you got to give a lot of credit to Ja. Zion, his sample size is too small for him to be in serious contention for this award. I think that if it was a full season, he definitely could have won the award. But obviously, only playing, 19 games?
Yeah.
It's a little, you can't really put him at Rookie of the Year. Then with Kendrick Nunn, not too much I want to say. Obviously, he got no votes in our poll, but you know what he did with Miami, no one expected him to be this good. A lot of credit to Nunn, but he's obviously not going to be in Rookie of the Year contention or going to be the winner for that category.
Yeah, and just like MVP, this is a 2-man race.
Right.
I wouldn't even call it a 2-man race. I call it a 1-man race.
Well, I remember there were some people around the 16 game mark or where Zion was playing. We're like,
have it, yeah.
You could have it, but the whole shutdown, it kind of just, it's going to be Ja, and it's deserving of him. He's a phenomenal player.
Yeah, and if you guys watched the top 50, if you haven't, go watch it.
Yeah, come on.
You would know that me and Kurt, we love Zion. I mean, we put him top 25 after 20 games. So,
we love him. But it's just too small for us to say he's Rookie of the Year.
Yes.
He is Rookie of 19 games, though. We'll give him that.
He is. He was so good in those 19 games, but Ja's been doing it for the whole year. And that Grizzly team was projected to win, I think it was just barely over 20 games. They were supposed to be the 14 seed or the 15 seed in the West. They're the 8, and they're
huge props to them.
They're in a very nice position to have a postseason berth.
Mm-hmm.
So props to them, man. Props to them. But moving on, we have 6th Man of the Year. Now this one's kind of interesting. So our candidates were Dennis Schroeder, Montrezl Harrell of the Clippers, and his teammate Lou Will of the Clippers. And that's kind of a weird situation that you have 2 6th Men of the Year candidates on the same team.
And it's also weird that Lou Will is not winning this award.
It is ridiculous that 2 guys from the same team. It just goes to show how deep the Clippers are. But so there's 2 6-man candidates, but that honestly kind of hurts their case at the same time.
Right.
And that's why Dennis Schroeder won with 10 votes.
Yes.
Harrell had 7 and Lou Will had 2. I think Oklahoma City, with how good they've been, surprisingly good they've been, Schroeder has been in that 3-guard rotation that has just been amazing. He's been closing out games for them with Shea at the 3. He's putting up great numbers as well. And honestly, I do think the Harrell and Lou Will playing together does hurt. Schroeder has been so vital to that OKC team.
Mm-hmm.
that I think he's very deserving of this.
Right. And just OKC as a whole, like, it's just so surprising to me. Just the breakout stars, like we said, in Shea, obviously with, just the whole roster. Like, OKC is phenomenal. I'm so excited to watch them play in Orlando. But I agree with you. I have Dennis Schroeder as my sixth man of the year. And, not really too much to say. I think you covered it all. His impact on the Thunder is phenomenal. And obviously he's a key asset to that squad. So for most improved, we have Brandon Ingram, Bam Adebayo, and we have Devontae Graham. So the results were Bam with 10. Bam was with 10 votes. Ingram was with 9, and then Devontae Graham had 0.
Ooh.
So a little bit of a close situation we got there for most improved. I personally voted for Bam.
I did too.
Okay, you did too. Just the Bam, you look at the difference that he made last year to this year. It's just phenomenal. Bam, I know we ranked him pretty high, I think, on our top 50 list.
I think it was like 29 or something.
Right,
like
yeah.
that.
So,
yeah.
I mean, Bam is, at least we know, is a phenomenal player, and I'm excited to see what he can do in the postseason for Miami. Ingram, though, just the difference from, I guess, LA to the Pelicans is just, you got to give him a lot of credit too. And obviously with the 9 votes, it just goes to show that he's in serious contention as well. And then with Devontae Graham, especially in the first half of the season, he was really a key front runner for this award. And he was just playing phenomenal for this Hornets team. But I think in the second half of the season, we saw a little bit of downgrade, I guess you could say, from Devontae Graham. Not to say he wasn't playing good, but just not to the standards he was the first half of the season. So that's why he ended up getting no votes. But, got to give a lot of credit to him and what he's done with the Hornets team. But my pick is going to be Bam.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. This is what really annoyed me with the Heat over the past few years, is they had Whiteside ahead of him for so long. And I loved Bam. And I was like, please, can you get Whiteside's ass off this team immediately? And then they did the Jimmy Butler trade, got Jimmy Butler, and managed to get rid of Whiteside at the same time. Yeah. And then they managed to get Bam as their starter.
It's worked out great.
It's been amazing. You've seen Bam just develop so nicely. Yeah. He's just such a great player. Now, he doesn't have that 3-point shot. No. But he's such a good passer. He's got such good vision. His growth since becoming a starter has just been immaculate. And that's not to take anything away from Ingram, but I'm a Bam fanboy, I guess you could say. I don't know, man.
For good reasoning, though. He's an exceptional player.
Let's just move on to Coach of the Year. And our candidates were Nick Nurse of the Toronto Raptors, Billy Donovan of the Oklahoma City Thunder, and Mike Budenholzer, the winner of last year's Coach of the Year award for the Milwaukee Bucks. And the winner was Nick Nurse. And I completely agree with this.
Oh, I did too.
Totally. Now, I do think Billy Donovan deserves some respect because a lot of people were just projecting this OKC team to just suck. I don't know why. Their roster was good.
I don't know why I was not high on this OKC team heading in. I wasn't a fan of the Chris Paul trade, but I mean, Billy Donovan and the whole OKC roster has proved me wrong, and I'm glad they proved me wrong because, like we talked about earlier, they're so fun to watch, and they're going to be a competitive team in Orlando.
They are. I think they could definitely get to the second round if they end up facing the Jazz. I think they can beat the Jazz in a series. Let's actually talk about the actual winner for a second, which is Nick Nurse. And Nick Nurse, even though you could say, oh, he won the championship last year, why should he win Coach of the Year? Well, let me just quickly run down something for you. He lost arguably the best player in basketball, who we had as the best player in basketball, in free agency. So there's that. And a lot of people were just saying, oh, the Raptors, they're going to be like a bottom half seed in the, not half, but bottom half playoff seed in the East. The Raptors have dealt with so many injuries this year. I don't even remember when their roster was fully healthy. He's got them as the number 2 seed in the East, the number 3 overall seed in the league, and they're playing amazing basketball.
Their
defense is, I think their defense is number 2 behind the Bucks. I'm not 100% on that, but I think it is. But you cannot deny the job that he has done with the amount of adversity that's been thrown at him this season.
Just to kind of add on to that, but when you lose Kawhi Leonard, who, I mean, is probably honestly like the best Raptors player of all time for what he did in that short time, winning a championship for them. And obviously, you know, you don't have like that superstar, I guess you could say, on Toronto, unless you want to maybe point out Lowry or Siakam, but I want to really call them superstars, you know? He's just really found a way to make them a team basketball team.
Yes.
And I think that, you know, what did they go? 14 games in a row they've won. I think that was the streak they were.
They went on like a 14 or 15 win streak,
right,
and then they lost to the Nets, I remember.
Right, but it just goes to show like how impressive they were during those 14 games. And I think a lot of people are going to say, oh, they didn't really play anyone tough during that 14-game stretch, but it doesn't matter. To win 14 games in the NBA is going to be super hard, and especially so I give a lot of credit to Nick Nurse, and obviously not a lot of people had the Raptors being a 2-seed or even being a very competitive team heading into this season. But what he's done, and, you know, I think still not a lot of people are getting enough credit to the Raptors and what they're capable of doing in the postseason.
I think they can make some noise. It's just,
I do too.
It just depends on their half-court offense, I think. That's what kind of scares me. And just before we move on, I want to shout out my guy, Mike Budd. He's my coach. I know, he's basically just replicating what he did last year, but better. Shout out my guy, Mike Budd. He actually finished second in voting on this, which I'm very happy about, but...
Can't pick him over Nick Nurse.
Yeah, don't talk to me about Nick Nurse after last year. All right, let's move on to Defensive Player of the Year. What do you got for us, Kurt?
For Defensive Player of the Year, we have AD, Giannis, and we have Rudy Gobert. We have Rudy Gobert. The results were Giannis with 13 votes.
Yes.
Which I know me and you both agree on.
Yes.
We have AD with 5. We have Gobert with 0. So just some thoughts off the top of my head. I think Giannis is, in my opinion, the clear-cut number 1 for this award. I know you're going to agree with that being a Bucks fan, but just defensively what he's done. Giannis is just so good. Like, he's going to win MVP. He's going to win Defensive Player of the Year. And, you know, who knows? Maybe he can add an NBA Finals to that resume for the season, which we'll see. But it just goes to show how much of a phenomenal player he is, especially defensively, and just, in my opinion, a great pick. AD, I think that, you know, I think me and you both talked about this before. We thought that he would have a little bit more votes for this category. AD, if you look at the betting odds, he's pretty close, I would say, to Giannis. I think Giannis, like we both said, I think he should be the number 1. But AD defensively, still give him a ton of credit. And obviously the addition of him for LA has been incredible. And it just goes to show how meaningful he is for that Lakers squad. They're going to need him when they play in Orlando in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And with Rudy Gobert, I mean, he's always been a defensive presence. Surprised he got 0 votes. I would maybe give him 1 or 2. But, I mean, Giannis and AD, I would guess you could say, are the 2 clear-cut options. And in my opinion, in your opinion, we have Giannis sitting at 1.
Giannis, one of his main points, alongside all of his amazing points for his MVP case, is that he's been playing Defensive Player of the Year caliber defense. If you look at the defensive advanced metrics, they're ridiculous.
Yeah.
They're absolutely ridiculous. When he's on the floor, the Bucks are like one of the greatest defenses of all time. And when he's off the floor, they're just like above average. I voted Giannis, but I honestly thought AD would win this. I love Anthony Davis, but Giannis prevails for good reason. Then we have MVP. And I'm not even going to name the third candidate because this is just a 2-man race. The candidates were Giannis and LeBron. Everyone knows that. And the winner was Giannis Antetokounmpo with 16 votes to 2. Landslide victory. As it should be. This is not a 2-week MVP. This is a full season MVP.
One thing I want to say super fast is what we've seen. I know we talked about this on a video earlier, but with Giannis, it always seemed to be when it was the MVP race, it was like Giannis versus Luka, and it was Giannis versus LeBron. And you see the trend is it's always Giannis. And Giannis, I think we just talked about this, but what he has going for him is his defensive presence, something that I don't think LeBron can really, add to his resume, because defensively he's nowhere near Giannis. And then I guess, we've talked about this, but Giannis's per 36 stats are just unbelievable. Like, they're ridiculously good, and it just goes to show if Giannis, and if the Bucks aren't blowing out teams by the end of the third quarter and he's playing a full game, like, Giannis would he's just a sensational athlete. I'm so excited to see the direction he heads in, still being at a fairly young age, and I think that he's going to go down as arguably one of the best players ever. And in my opinion, it's an easy choice taking Giannis for MVP.
That was great. But before, I just want to let all you LeBron lovers out there know, if you put their stats against one another, Giannis beats LeBron in pretty much everything but assists and three-point percentage. And I think maybe free throw percentage, but they both suck at free throws. Giannis is winning more. Giannis is playing a lot better defense. Giannis's record against the West is better than LeBron's record against the East. I found that out the other day, and I found that really interesting.
Yeah.
And he's playing less minutes. It's done. It's
right.
An easy win.
It is. And it doesn't, I don't want the people out there to think that we are against LeBron, because obviously he's probably the second best player of all time. Some will say it's the GOAT, just a definition of a sensational talent. And I think that, what he's doing at age 35, it's credible. And obviously age doesn't matter when it comes to MVP voting,
Exactly.
but I just want to show that even at a, age of 35, he's still putting up ridiculous numbers. The Lakers are still a number one seed in the West. So much credit to LeBron James. And, he's easily, in my opinion, the second place in this MVP voting.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree. He's been fantastic this year. It's LeBron James. He's always fantastic.
Right.
But who's had the better full season?
It's Giannis.
Yeah. Thank you all for watching All Sports Culture's 2020 NBA Awards Show. Do you agree with our picks? Drop a comment on what you think they should have been, because there surely is some cause for debate here. Also, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to ASC here on YouTube if you haven't already. And check us out on Instagram at All Sports Culture. Me and Kurt aren't the only ones in ASC, believe it or not. There's 17 other guys working their asses off over on our IG, so check out their work, because it's some great content. Thank you all again for watching. I've been Sam from All Sports Culture, and I'll see you in the next one.